All right, welcome in to Carps Corner. Man, coming off a big, sweet weekend at Ohio State, 100th birthday of the shoe. We're leading in now to college football 0 week, so fear not. Last Saturday was the last Saturday you will have to be without college football for the foreseeable future. Maybe there's a Saturday somewhere in December in there, in between bowl games and ultimately the college football or the conference championship games. But really, you're looking at college football from this weekend coming up now all the way until we ultimately get, I don't know, what is the championship game this year? Somewhere mid-January. So we've got a full slate, a full boat of stuff that will be exciting for everybody to kind of get rolling with here with everything that we're ultimately seeing. So with that being said, Buckeyes exited training camp on Saturday. We'll get into what some of them had to do Saturday night here in a minute. But exited training camp on Saturday. Very productive, very impressive. Went back to the stadium. They did it a couple times. Ryan wanted to make sure that everybody was good to go. And really, a lot of it is just as much for the coaches, getting some of the coaches in the box upstairs, calling plays down, working through the logistics. They do move the field plays, which is their series, which is essentially, hey, we're going to start on 1st and 10 on our own 30. You get 3 yards, it's 2nd and 7. You get 5 yards, it's 3rd and 2. And in doing that, it sounds like that's simple because that's how football is played. But generally, you break down practice into different aspects of the game, whether it's 7-on-7, which is all passing, inside run drill. Maybe you do a 3rd down period. Maybe you do a 3rd and long. You'll do red zone. So you work on it all in different compartments and you silo it. But it's important to do some move the field action so the players get used to, hey, we're going from, maybe a 3rd and 8 situation where you have your nickelbacks and everybody on the field, and you're pass rush and everything like that. All of a sudden, then maybe they get 7 yards. It's a 4th and 1. You need to go big personnel. They're subbing people in on offense. Defensively, you're subbing people in to go get a yard. And so all the elements of that, of getting through the logistics of calling that, signaling it, getting it into the players, making sure that everybody's on the same page is really, really important. So they had a great training camp. I thought it was very productive. You've heard Ryan Day say over and over again, if you've heard any of the stuff coming from his pressers, where he wants his team to have an edge, want to callous them, make them tough. And in today's day and age where there's no two-a-days, you have to limit how much you can be on the field, limit pads. It's really hard to grind those guys the way that they used to. And this isn't me being an old man saying, get off my lawn. It's different. One practice a day is going to be a lot easier than 2. That's just the reality. When you're not in pads, it's a lot easier than being in full pads. Number one, just the running around, carrying the extra weight. You're like a horse with a saddle and a rider. You take that thing off. Well, now you're not hitting in practice. It's lighter. You're easier to move, all of those things. But that doesn't necessarily help you play the game at the highest level. So trying to balance that is what Ryan was tasked with this year. And for a young head coach, that can be difficult. Good news, he'd come from the NFL. He's seen it done a lot of different ways and understands that, hey, sometimes you need to ratchet back a little bit and give guys an opportunity before you really dive in and kind of crush them down. So I'm going to give you guys some big winners out of training camp, at least as I saw it. I'm going to start with 2 of the guys who are named captains, Tommy Eichenberg, CJ Stroud. You're like, all right, that's obvious. Start with CJ. CJ Stroud, big winner out of camp. Okay, the guy's a Heisman front runner. He's a captain, probably a top 5 pick, all of these things. Yeah, but here's the thing with CJ. He lost 2 of his leading receivers. Now he got to experience what that would be like in the Rose Bowl. But when you're expected to be great, they expect you to be great every single day. And watching CJ play, his accuracy in camp was tremendous. His body language was tremendous. His ability to get through reads was very good. I mean, he did all of the things you expect him to do. And it may be easy to kind of sit there and look and say, he should be doing that. Well, you know what? When everybody's telling you how great you are, and there's an expectation that, hey, you can just roll out there and be great, not everybody is able to live up to those expectations because you got to do it every day. And if you're not grinding every day in camp, it's not going to come to you when you need it, when you're ultimately under the bright lights like September 3rd and so many other Saturdays. And so CJ being that guy every day in practice, being the best version of himself, and not that he didn't have some rough days here and there, but the guy was really good over the last couple of weeks of training camp, and you needed that for the confidence for the offense, and really for his own confidence and to sharpen his tools. He's not a finished product. No college quarterback is going to be a finished product. They're not Tom Brady. They've only been doing it for a handful of years at a high level. And so it was really important for CJ, I thought, to have his first full camp coming off a big year. And this is why Bill Parcells always liked to draft quarterbacks that at least had 2 years of starting, ideally 3, because it's a lot tougher to come back and prepare and be that dude when there's expectations around it. And so coming off what he did last year, everybody was going to expect more. People thought he could be good last year, but nobody really knew how good he could ultimately be. Now he's got a year of tape, he has a year of awards, and he's the undoubted leader and unquestioned leader of that offense. He's got to go out there and produce every day. And that is the expectations that Bill Parcells was ultimately talking about, that you have to go out there and get it done, not with just expectations externally with the media and the fans, internally with your team, and then internally with yourself as well. How do you handle that emotionally and psychologically? Because it's hard, folks. It's really hard. Mentioned Tommy Eichenberg, another big winner. Established himself as the leader on the defense, getting things lined up, the vocal guy, the one who's going to help organize things, playing fast, playing physical, nominated as captain. Him and Steele have been doing a great job in there on the inside. And it was really important because the linebacker play at Ohio State, let's be honest, it's ebbed and flows. There's been some good years and bad, but last year definitely wasn't where it needed to be. And you have 2 of the guys who played a ton of reps last year ultimately being put back in. And I think people are going to see a marked difference from what they saw last season. And you're going to see Tommy, who played really well in the Rose Bowl, and he has carried that over all through the season. Also is recognized by his team as being a captain. You're going to see a guy playing fast and physical, and most of you have seen the big hit that he put out there during training camp that my man Joey Galloway put on Instagram. So Tommy Eichenberg, another captain, Cade Stover, big winner out of training camp. Coming into this, I thought, okay, he's sliding over to tight end. Maybe he can be your second option. Maybe Royer G. Scott can kind of seize that thing. You know what? Cade worked his butt off all offseason, got better at running routes, learned the offense. He's a tough physical dude, might be the best blocker up front, run blocker. He's going to give you that offensive edge when you're trying to run the football, which is critically important. So he's going to provide that. And he also is providing leadership, and that was recognized when he was elected captain. And for a guy that's bounced around, linebacker, then tight end, then back to linebacker, then jack, D end, and then ultimately coming back midway through the spring, people see that, they recognize it, and he looks good. He looks really good. It would not shock me if Cade Stover is a all Big Ten tight end this year. They got to give him the ball, but he catches pretty well. He runs good routes, and he has better top end speed than I think people give him credit for. Another guy coming through. I got about 7. Another guy playing really well. I thought I had a breakout camp. Dude came into Ohio State with huge expectations. Big time wide receiver. And Hartline does a great job of developing guys, but you have to want to be developed. And sometimes it's a maturity process. Sometimes it's about deciding what's the most important thing to you. Did I come to Ohio State to go to school and play football? Or did I come to Ohio State to enjoy the college experience while I'm playing football? And Julian Fleming has stepped up. His maturity has improved immensely. You can tell how seriously he takes things, and it's been reflective in his off-season training, what he did this summer. He's been great in the weight room, and all of those things have now translated to the fact that he's been more consistent on the football field, and he's produced at a really high level. And it has been a pleasure to see a young man who finally starts to realize, like, hey, I've got all the ability. Ability won't get me there on its own anymore. I have to ultimately put in the work. He's put in the work, and it's paid off. And you see him now when he gets on the field, he's wins in routes, he catches the football, and he's always where he's supposed to be. At least as much as any player can be expected. He's been doing the little things right, and it's shown up. And it's shown up big. And so not only just camp winner, but a real off-season winner for me, Julian Fleming, with how serious he has taken everything. And I'm proud of the young man for getting that way. Paris Johnson, offensive tackle. Thought played really well. He's been battling some good defensive ends. JTT, Zach Harrison, Sawyer. I mean, going against these dudes. And he's a quiet guy. Kind of a unique personality. Wears some short, multicolored shorts around the facility a lot of times. Unique dude, but tough. And watching him, especially him and JTT, two huge dudes going at it, and you see JT get the better of him one time. Then all of a sudden, Paris, next thing you know, in the run game, boom, turns and gets him and knocks him to the ground. Like the battling back and forth. That's how you get to be an elite player, is competing all the time. And when you have elite players across from you, it only helps. Paris Johnson, another big time recruit, played last year, played pretty well, but this was going to be a step up for what he needed to do. And he has to be that elite left tackle. And I think you're beginning to see that now with his play on the field. It was really impressive to see how he went out and battled and competed every day. And I think that ultimately made him better. Now, the last two guys I'm going to talk about, they've improved and they've taken advantage of their opportunities. And so often in life, you can't control injuries, playing time, coach, all these different things. But when you get your shot, you will. Everybody gets their shot. Everybody ultimately gets that opportunity. Are you ready when it's there? And look at the cornerback room. You got Cam Brown. You got Denzel Burke. You got Jordan Hancock. All have played really well. They all played well in the spring. Like those guys, Cam, and we know what he's about. He's been nicked up, and they monitored him to make sure he's good. But the guy right behind them was J.K. Johnson. And with some of those guys down and out during camp, in and out, they're going to be at full strength. Ryan said they're going to be good to go. But the fact that he was able to step in, take advantage of those reps, go against Marvin Harrison Jr., Julian Fleming, Jackson, Emeka, all those dudes, that helped him get better. And so he was able to elevate his play, prove to the coaches that he was out there every day. When he was practicing and playing, he was performing at a high level. And the coaches see that now. And now they know they can trust you. And now they can put you in the field and they can rotate you in with those other guys and start building you up. But you have to be able to do it in practice. He was given that opportunity. He has taken advantage of it and played pretty darn well. And then the last guy, Dallin Hayden, it's the same thing. Played well, worked hard. Didn't probably think he was going to play much this year. If you look at their backfield, and all of a sudden, boom, Evan Pryor goes down. Dallin Hayden is now thrust into a role where he's going to be getting some reps. So he's getting the ball in meaningful minutes, meaningful touches in the horseshoe. And that's big for a true freshman. So if he just would have said, this isn't my year, you know what, I'm coming out here to play. I'll wait till Trey and Evan is gone, Maya, and these guys will move out and it'll eventually be my job. Listen, time waits for nobody. Don't wait for your opportunity. Get prepared and be ready to go. And Dallin has done that. So I'm excited to watch him perform because he was playing as if in practicing, you could tell as if he was trying to win a job that most people probably thought would never come. And all of a sudden, you're just one injury away from now being thrust into a situation where you're going to probably get some critical touches. All right, so they had the 100-year anniversary for Ohio Stadium, a celebration for it. It was put in concert with Cohesion, NIL Collective to help raise money for the players. And it was a really great event. Coach Cooper was back. Coach Day came. Some of the players, we'll get into that. Jim Tressel was there. And it was a phenomenal event put on in the new part of the B deck. That's all suites now. It's got like a little club area. And they really did a good job with it. And, you know, for those of you who've seen, I posted earlier from Saturday night, and I caught like the last probably 8 or 9 minutes of Tress's speech. Probably talked for about 12, 13 minutes. Of course, filleted me in there. But coming back and paying homage to Ryan Day and what he's done, how difficult the job is. John Cooper doing the same thing, knowing how well Ryan has done, having the right guy there, and both of them acknowledged him being that. And it was very, very thoughtful because being the head coach at Ohio State, and it's kind of a little bit of a microcosm, a smaller slice, if you will, of kind of being like the president of the United States. There aren't too many people alive who have held that job, who understand the intense pressures. Now, understand this isn't life and death. It's to be a football coach, but there's 11 million people in the state of Ohio that really care about the Buckeyes and more across the country. And so John Cooper knows what that feels like. Jim Tressel knows what that feels like. Luke Fickell knows what that feels like a little. And Ryan Day and Urban Meyer. Those are the guys now, beginning and end of list. And Coach Cooper's getting up there. He's in good shape, but we just lost Coach Bruce. And so there's only a handful of guys that know what that feels like to sit there and go to that press conference after losing a game, after winning a big game. And I thought all of them did a great job. Tress's speech was phenomenal, as it would be. Coach Coop lit up the room, started really well. Then, Coach Day, Ryan had to follow those guys, and it was really tough. But he did a really good job with it. There's a couple coaches there. I believe talked to Tim Walton there. Jim Knowles was there. They had some of the players, CJ, Paris, Tommy, Cade, Jackson was there. Someone told me Travion was there. Like, trying to remember, these guys were bouncing all around, but they took their night off on the first Saturday out of camp to come there and support that. Sat there, there for a little over an hour. If you watch the video, Cade is sitting right up front. He was there longer than an hour because he got sat in a table right under the podium. And I told him in the future, if you ever go someplace and you want to leave, it's a little early. It's a little piece of advice. Don't ever sit in the direct sight line of the speaker. Get on the side, get to the rear, have a nice exit or an alleyway. Don't sit on a table where you're facing on the inside. You've got to kind of go around the whole table. And poor Cade was right under there, and he sat there like a champ the entire time. Was an absolute dude. It was a pleasure to kind of see all those guys talk to him. It was awesome talking to Jim Knowles and the confidence he has. And I'm super grateful we have him here and everything that he does. And I'll throw this up. He said, everything else is at Ohio State is top 5. Why shouldn't the defense be? And that's the type of confidence that Jim Knowles has. So that's the press conference, how do you feel? Well, we're good. We're good with everything. We're good. No coach is ever going to be completely happy. But I think Jim Knowles is incredibly confident in the players that he has and what they've done and what he's seen during training camp. And you think you come from Oklahoma State, you got some good talent, but not the depth that you have. Ohio State, I think he realizes, man, we got some really good players. Now it's up to us as a coaching staff, as defensive coordinator and all of the defensive staff, to take our players, figure out what they do really well, which I think they have a good idea now after training camp. And they've been working on this, but ask them to do what they do really well. Let's ask them to do that a lot. Let's have them do that as much as possible. And what they don't do so well, okay, there's certain guys that struggle with this or that, and we're going to try to not put them in those positions. That is the quality of a great coach. Find out the strengths of your players, lean into those, try to isolate and shield the weaknesses, and then you can put your guys in the best position to win. Don't ask somebody to do something consistently they're not good at. Yeah, there's going to be times where every player has to do something that might not be their exact skill set, and you got to survive a down or two. But winning football is, if this guy is really good at X, let's just do more of X with him. I don't need him to do Y. Why am I going to ask? I remember Wade Phillips with DeMarcus Ware in Dallas. So why are we going to drop DeMarcus? This guy's going to get us 20 sacks. Let's try to rush him as much as possible. Yeah, we can drop him a little bit for a changeup, but if you think we're going to make our living dropping him on 25% of the passing downs, you got another thing coming. This guy's an elite pass rusher. And that's the kind of thing that you have to understand. And so Jim Knowles gets that. And they're working to put it together. They're doing a great job of it. And I'll throw this up. And Ryan alluded to it earlier. Said OSU will be at full strength at corner going into the Notre Dame game, which I think is key. A lot of people will say, hey, Notre Dame, not necessarily great at the wide receiver position. They've suffered a lot of injuries. But here's the good news. If you're at full strength, you're going to have all your corners, full complement of them. The receivers aren't that great. You can play your corners in a lot of ISO coverage. You're going to rotate some different things, play some zone, play some too deep. But you can ask your corners to do a lot, and you can load up with your safeties to go stop the run. That's the benefit of when you have elite corners. And so the fact that Ohio State now, as I rattle them off, Brown, Burke, Hancock, and I'm going to throw J.K. Johnson there. You've got 4 dudes that you feel good about playing with. Now you can go get after it, and you can play. And those are outside guys. I'm not even talking about, the Cam Martinez's and, Lathan Ransom and dudes like that, Tanner McAllister, that you're going to play in the slot, nickel, some of those things. Those are exterior guys. They're going to be good to go. They're going to be ready to rock for you. And that is something that is absolutely awesome. So excited about that. Jim Knowles is pumped about it. We've got a great defensive coordinator. I'm excited to have him here. I'm excited for everybody to get a chance to see in 2 weeks what I think that I've seen a little snippet of here coming into training camp. So I'm going to wrap everything up. That is it for this edition of Carps Corner. Going to continue to post some different things out there, maybe get some interviews, all kinds of stuff with guys and more. I didn't realize how many people love that Jim Tressel deal. It's got a ton of views. So I'll try to continue to get some more unique footage to throw in here. So thank you guys for participating. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know what you want, and I will try to provide it to you in the best way that I can. Probably do a live show here at some point too, because someone asked about that and said, you know what, let's get that done and we'll put it together. So appreciate it all. And until next time, talk to you soon.